All right, good evening. I got next up we have Commissioner Keith Baker. Keith, how are you?
I'm great, PT. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
It's
Thanks.
good to see you this evening. Good to see everyone out there this evening. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, this is great, huh?
Yeah.
So you're wrapping up your first 4 years as a Chaffee County Commissioner.
Yep. Bringing that to a conclusion, we've done a lot of things to establish some policy and some visionary programs and things for the county that puts us on a track into the future, because as we know, Chaffee County is growing rapidly, and if you don't have those things in place, by the time you need them, you'll wish you had them. So we're trying to get ahead of the power curve and have those things in place now.
Yeah, and I'll say it's been a wild 4 years, huh? You've gotten to do some really, really interesting, fun, cool things, and then kind of, I guess, starting last summer with the Decker fire, it's been just crisis after crisis, and it's really, I think, required the commissioners and yourself to really step up and lead us through a challenging time.
Yes, and my 23 years of Navy experience really stood me in good stead there with working not just in the Navy environment, but in the Washington, D.C. interagency environment, big staff environment, and international operations too, doing a lot of policy coordination and interagency coordination, and not being afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody and really try to see things through their perspective, but also protect the county's interests as well. Because that's our first duty as a commissioner, is to protect the county's interests and the residents' and citizens' interests, but also try to do it in a collaborative sort of way so that we really get the objectives that we're looking for.
Yeah, and I think Chaffee County has fared better through this COVID crisis than probably just about any other county in Colorado, and I think part of that has been a big part of that has been the leadership and then the interagency cooperation that really started with the commissioners and then filtered through.
Yeah, that's really something that it just kind of boggles my mind. I was talking to a representative from Senator Bennett's office a couple of days ago, and we were chatting about that, and it just kind of occurred to me. I said, well, don't other counties do that? And she said, no. It's really something that, you know, in my culture, back again to the interagency experience and everything, that's just the way you do business. You get everybody together frequently. Sometimes it seems like too frequently, but you discuss things, and I know you're an excellent spokesperson for the city of Salida and your constituents, and the leadership in Buena Vista does the same thing for them, and we all work collaboratively. And I think, you know, the key element is keeping that key objective in mind, which is protect the health and safety of our residents and our citizens, and minimize the negative health impacts, and obviously minimize the number of deaths that we have, and in so doing, do that in a way that doesn't totally disrupt our way of life and the fabric of our culture, you know, so that we do have an economy on the other side of this whenever it is. And that's kind of a tough part, is we don't know what the end state is and when it is, but we're working together to make it happen. And I really appreciate your leadership as well, and your cohort there from the city of Salida helping us out tremendously on that, and Poncha and Buena Vista, and all the different elements, the EDC, the business community, recreation community, everybody that comes together at that round table to discuss these things.
Yeah, it's been really a positive thing, and I think as we continue to work through that, I think we do have to look at the future. There is a past COVID
Yes.
future here, and I think you guys are working on some really interesting things that I'm excited about. The fire protection plan, the new plan for the county, the
comprehensive plan. Yeah, yeah. Life goes on. I mean, it's you know, we used to say you might have this situation going on, like you're driving your car. You might have a light on the dashboard, but you still have to worry about not hitting other traffic and safely weaving your way through traffic and everything. So you still have to keep those normal processes going. So the Community Wildfire Protection Plan is done with an eye to prevent natural disaster, or prevent wildfire to the extent we can. But if it does occur, that we're able to deal with it through evacuation routes, through minimizing firefighter exposure and firefighter injury and death, and property damage, kind of in that order. We want to, safety of life and limb is first, and then property is second. And I think it's important for people to understand that, and we codify that in the CWPP. The comprehensive plan is primarily, a land use sort of document, or looking at things through a land use lens, but it kind of governs things like the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, our wastewater plan, all those other sort of subordinate plans that we look through that. And then looking on to a second term, one thing that I hope to do is that we have a county strategic plan like most other counties do. Gunnison County has a superb one. It's been updated several times over about 12 years or so that they've had it. And it gives the residents and citizens and people who are thinking about coming to our community and investing, starting a business or something, it gives them kind of a roadmap or know what to expect. How much does this county value clean air, clean water? How much am I going to have to really work to make sure that I comply with community standards? Or how much is the community going to help me comply with those standards? And I think that's one thing that our community does a really good job of, is helping people come in and integrate into the fabric of life here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess as we look towards next year especially, is there anything really immediate that you see coming down the line that we need to think about?
I think the first thing, again, getting back to that fundamental sorts of thing, because you have to kind of anticipate crises, but you don't, you don't act on them really until they happen. But doing plan reviews and that sort of thing, I think that's something we've learned from the fire and from COVID-19, is you always need to be updating your contingency plans for disasters and things of that nature. But back to the fundamental elements, I think obviously we want to have the comprehensive plan approved and signed in the next couple of months, I'd say late summer, early fall, and it's out for review right now, public review. So we're working on that and continuing on that. But after we take a breather with the holidays and whatever happens with COVID-19, based on resumption of school and reopening and all those sorts of things that we really can't foresee clearly, but starting to update the land use code to get it more closely integrated with the comprehensive plan. It's been one of the things that I've heard since I've been here, since early 2004, that the land use code and the comprehensive plan don't mesh. Right. They're at total disharmony. The comp plan says this is the vision, and the land use code doesn't foster that vision.
Yeah, that can be a real challenge for sure.
So that's probably one that's on the near horizon, near planning horizon. And then that strategic plan, like I talked about, really trying to establish a broader scope vision, not just like the comp plan does, which is primarily through a land use lens, but something that looks at land use, looks at economic development, looks at how the county as a functional organization operates, like the county administration, and how all the elected officials work together, and make some contracts about how we cooperate and collaborate.
One thing I think that as a municipality we are concerned about moving forward is our infrastructure, and with CDOT's budget looking like it's going to be cut considerably, some of that infrastructure stuff is going to fall back on us a little bit more than maybe was anticipated.
Yeah, I think our share of these matching programs might increase dramatically. Yeah. The Highway User Trust Fund money that we usually get to help maintain our local roads based on how many lane miles we have, that's probably going to diminish. It's probably going to be raked somewhat in the legislature, the Joint Budget Committee. And this is a point I keep stressing every opportunity that I have with the federal delegation, the state delegation, and obviously everybody at CDOT. They can't think of Chaffee County through the same planning lens that they did 12, 15 years ago. If things they thought they could get away with deferring to 10 years, now they better be working on them tomorrow, yesterday, because we are almost like an exurb of the Front Range mega region. And the pressure just keeps mounting and keeps coming, and if we don't anticipate those things, if we don't start planning and acting on the plan now, it won't be us that really suffer, it'll be our descendants and the next generation that suffers, and I don't want to bequeath that to anybody.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I've always really appreciated about you, Keith. I'm huge on planning and thinking about the future and making sure that our municipality is set up for that. And I get the feeling, and I've seen the results, that you do the same for the county.
Absolutely. It's something that, I always try to be ahead of the ship, ahead of the aircraft, ahead of the problem, because if you wait until it's right there, it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks a bunch for coming in this afternoon. Is there anything to wrap up that you'd like to add?
I really enjoy this work. It's really about, I said in the 2016 campaign, I don't want to just be a commissioner, I want to do commissioner. It's work that I enjoy doing. It's my whole career up to this point, is looking at a problem, analyzing and developing a course of action, and that's what my experience is all about, and I want to keep that experience to work for the people of Chaffee County. And I will appreciate everyone's vote in November. So please vote for me, Keith Baker, this November. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, PT.